Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Professor Anderson, for having me, and I appreciate the efforts of the staff who helped put this event together. I am Baoli Yang, a Ph.D. candidate in Brown's Comparative Literature Department. I would like to share with you part of my dissertation project. The focus of my dissertation is the conceptualization of border and frontier in Sinoscript literature, by which I mean the works written in the Chinese writing system related to the Chinese cultural legacy at the peak of medieval Chinese imperialism. The project I presented in the Cogut seminar was entitled Poetic Violence and Masculine Imperialism in Medieval China. During the first half of the 8th century, Emperor Xuanzong of the Tang Dynasty expanded the scope of his political dominance and cultural influence, his reign being known afterwards as the High Tang, meaning the pinnacle of the dynasty. The influx of foreigners, exchange of exotic goods, and the importation of foreign ways of thought all contributed to the multicultural splendor of the High Tang. Gradual exposure to external influences accompanied nuanced articulation of differences and innovations in Tang literature. However, the devastating Anlushan rebellion, initiated by foreign generals in the Tang army, put an end to these good times and frustrated the Tang's receptive attitude towards the foreign from the mid-8th century. For the remainder of the dynasty, cultural elites focused their attention on remembering and reconstructing the glory of the past. My project deals with the symbolism of youth, poetics of violence, and the imperialist masculinity. The poets of the High Tang repurposed the traditional knight-errant trope and dramatized violence in imperial warfare to portray a vision of manhood that the authors themselves did not possess. The model warriors mixed the identity of traditional Chinese images with the action of contemporaneous foreign warriors. I argue that the abundant imagery of youth and violence in High Tang poetry portrayed an imperialist masculinity, which evinced the cultural segregation between Chinese literary elites and the foreign generals in the Tang army. This combination of Chinese and foreign ethnic particularities enabled the construction of an ideal Chinese manhood, which fails to acknowledge the achievements of foreign generals. Drawing on Homi Bhabha and Bradley Dean for theoretical inspiration, I reject the prevailing view that takes the poetic notion of High Tang for granted without examining its social and historical context. I also break new ground by discussing the repercussions of imperial masculinity from a literary perspective in medieval China. Becoming a Cogut Fellow this year has offered me a wonderful opportunity to carry out this project. Thank you very much.